Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Ecclesiastes 12. We have now entered the last chapter of Ecclesiastes after over 2 years, but I can tell you that we have learned a great deal concerning life. Our series topic is, what is a life? Comes in a question form, what is a life? And for the past 2 weeks, I have been wrestling to find the appropriate title for chapter 12. I just couldn't find one, and I believe God gave me one yesterday, or Friday, I believe, concerning Friday, I believe, concerning chapter 12, the appropriate title. It sounds good, Michael, for chapter 12. And I mentioned last Sunday, chapter 12 is talking about a phase of life that a lot of people struggle with in life. That's the old age phase. Death is on the horizon. Many people are afraid of death. If you are a believer, there is no need to be afraid of death at all. Amen. There is no need if you are a believer. If you are not a believer, you would have some concerns and some fears concerning death. But let's begin to walk through this. In Ecclesiastes 12, I have given this title, The Reality Zone of Life. Let's say it loud and strong, the reality zone of life. This is the reality zone. This is the zone of life that we cannot circumvent. We cannot avoid. We cannot get around it. We may not like it. Not too many people embrace the old age gracefully and peacefully and comfortably. Not too many people. A lot of people fight that phase of life. We fight it hard. We do so many things to try to remain young. It's good to exercise, good to eat right, maintain a good diet. It's good to take your vitamins. I do all that. But still, you do all that to prolong life, not to stop it, not to stop what's coming, which is death. You exercise, you take care of yourself, you eat right, you have a good diet. You do all of that, take your vitamins, not to stop what's coming, death, but to prolong life. Now that we have entered the reality phase of life that cannot be avoided, cannot be circumvented, you can't get around it, I want you now, as we begin to walk through this, I want you to learn how to deal with this phase of life and embrace it gracefully, peacefully, and comfortably. Don't run from it. That's why the topic is the reality zone of life. Notice it's not the comfort zone of life. Now, the comfort zone of life is when everything is really nice, is pleasurable, comfortable, no trouble. Everything is going your way, smooth sailing. The comfort zone of life. You don't have any troubles. Now, this is not the comfort zone of life. It's the reality zone. There's a vast difference. Reality zone meaning it's a reality that we have to face, have to embrace, have to deal with and handle, and cannot get around it, cannot get away from it. We have to face it head on and deal with it. And as we face it and deal with it, is for us to learn how to go on living life and not be falling to pieces and trying to fight it, and you're not going to win. I remember when my mom was here, my mom got to the phase of her life where she just She didn't complain about that phase of life as her body is ailing. Her body is ailing. She's aging. She knew this is a part of life that we have to deal with. Now, if you were to go to the Caribbean Islands and someone passed away, and you go to complaining to Donovan and say, hey, I lost my mom, I lost my dad, I lost my uncle, my brother. The Caribbean folks are going to say to you, my sympathy, my condolence, I'm sorry to hear that. And they're going to conclude by saying, it's a road we all have to travel. Don't say that to Americans. They want you to cry on their shoulders. They want you to give them money. They want you to comfort them. In the Caribbean, folks are going to tell you, it's a road we all have to travel. They're telling you, we cannot get away from that. That is one appointment you must meet, must kept, and you have to deal with in life. Now look at it here in chapter 12, verse 1. Chapter 12, verse 1. It's very interesting. And don't forget the topic is the reality zone. Now we have hit the reality zone of life. This is what we're going to face this morning and next week and the coming days. It's reality. You look around, it's reality. Look around at David and Michael. At some point, they had a big afro in life. My friend and I grew up together in the Virgin Islands. My neighborhood boy, Clayton, he's now in Stone Mountain, married with 2 kids. I met Clayton when I was 15. That's when I lived with my dad at 15. He was our neighbor. Clayton had hair. When I moved here, I went to see Clayton so we can see each other again after so many years. First question I asked Clayton, I said, Clayton, what happened to your hair? Clayton said, it's all gone. I'm older than Clayton. Not saying I'm better. Some people have different genes. At some point, I might lose mine. It might just turn gray or whatever. But different strokes for different folks. But Clayton was embracing that phase of his life as he's getting old and realizing he's losing his hair. That's part of life. He's not trying to go to that man to get his hair back. What is it? Some guy advertising you can get your hair back. Listen, it's life. Let it go. It's gone. Deal with life. What are you trying to pluck it in for? It's going to fall out again. It's life. It's the reality zone. It's that reality part of life we now face. So chapter 12, verse 1 says, remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come and the years draw near, when you say, I have no pleasure in them. That is chock full. That is chock full. Solomon is saying, remember now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Remember now your Creator. I know Americans say creator, something like that. You guys pronounce it different. We're from the British version. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth. When you are young. When you're young. Sad to say, this generation, we are in a generation where this generation has very little interest in church and God. The interest is in sports, materialism, everything else. Very little interest in God and church. Very little. And I remember inviting a 20-year-old to this church. And after church, he sent me a text and he said, my grandpa tried many years to get me to go to church, but couldn't. My girlfriend did, but she couldn't. A guy I met at Publix in 1 week got me to go to church, and I love it, and I'm coming back. The problem was he didn't know how to find the books of the Bible. And after a while, we spoke about it. I said, how did you learn to find the books of the Bible? He said, I didn't go to church. I don't know the Bible. I have no clue about church. At 20. He said, when you called out the scriptures, I would look over at my neighbor and cheated. He said, that's how I learned. He had no interest when he was younger. His parents didn't take him. He had no interest. And this generation has very little interest in God. They know everything else. At my house, I try to get my nephews and my niece to read the Bible, study the Bible. Recently, I have them learning the books of the Bible in order. So they know where to find John, Matthew, Mark, Luke. I have them write it out and learn it. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd, down the line like that so they can learn. And that's how I learned. Because I learned it when I was young. I can hear gospel hymns on the radio and I start singing. I know the words because that's what I grew up on. I can't play sports. I can run you from here to Texas. I can't play sports, but I can run. I had no interest in sports. I had an interest in church and God and the Bible when I was young. That's my interest. And it paid off greatly for me. So this generation is suffering greatly. But Solomon says, remember now your Creator in the days of your youth. I want to explain that to you. He's saying you have to remember God now that you're young. Have an interest in God now that you are young. Have an interest in God now that you're young, because as you get older, you're becoming more stubborn to godly things and the church and the Bible and God. You're losing an interest. You have no pleasure, no desire for it. You don't need it. You feel like I'm old now. I don't need God. It's too late for me. And you feel guilty. So he said, remember your Creator in the days of your... So I have two things here to show you something. This is representing a young person. This is representing, and he looks old. Yes? Now, remember your Creator. Now, when it's young, you hear people say all the time, it's easy to bend when you are, you can bend it. That means you can learn a lot. The good time, the best time, the right time to teach people things is when they are young, because that's when they are learnable, teachable. They can be bent without breaking. Are you following me so far? Yes. Because they're young, you can absorb a lot of things and keep on going. Are you following me so far? Yes. So this represents a young person. You are young, you are strong, you're full of energy, the lights are bright. When you're old, this represents an old person that bend it. That's what happens. You're old. It's too late, in a sense. It's hard to have an old person be bent and taught certain things. Every time he goes to break. Because it's not designed that way anymore. It's not the same. So that's why Solomon says, remember your Creator. Now look at this quickly. Look at this word, remember. Remember. Now, when you hear the word remember, you are thinking of things you learned and you're trying to bring back to memory. This is not what this word means. This word remember means to be mindful, to be conscious. So Solomon is saying, I want you now that you're young to be mindful, to be conscious to God, about God, concerning God. Be conscious about God. Be mindful of God. Now let's look at the word mindful. Let's look at the word mindful. The word mindful means conscious or aware of something or someone. So Solomon is saying, when he says remember your Creator, he's trying to tell you to be conscious, aware of someone. Be conscious about God. Be aware of God. Aware. Mindful. Keep it in your mind. So remember here doesn't mean trying to bring something back to your memory. Okay? We're looking at the Hebrew word. So remember here means be mindful. It means to mark, meaning to mark as in a sense to recognize. So Solomon is saying, remember your creator, recognize your creator. What is Solomon saying? Recognize your creator. When I was a young man in 10th grade in Miami, Nolan Senior High School in Miami, 1050 Miami Gardens Drive, I was walking down the hallway and during change of class, and you know the hallway is going to be crowded, and I happened to accidentally step on someone's shoes, and the guy said to me, "You better recognize." You know, from the islands, I was trying to figure out what he meant. You know, I was slow back then. He said, "You better recognize." You know, what he was trying to tell me, be cautious, be conscious, be mindful, pay attention to where I'm walking. Are you tracking so far? So he says here, remember your creator means to be mindful, means to mark as to recognize. Recognize there is a God. Be mindful. It also means think on. Remember means to think on. Right. Now, look at verse 1 again. Remember now your who? Creator. Now, you notice it didn't say God. It didn't say remember your God. It didn't say, look at the verse. Remember now your, read class, remember now your Creator. It didn't say your God. Because everybody can have an own individual God. You know how many people have different gods? The Indians have a different God. Rastafarians have a different God, Haile Selassie. People have different things at their house they call gods. When I was in the military, I was stationed in South Korea. We went to the Buddhist temple. And when we got to the Buddhist temple, you had to take your shoes off before entering. And you have this big fat belly man, a statue of this Buddha. And the people were bowing down and worshiping and crying. And they spent hours eating right in front of Buddha. That's their God. They believe that's our deliverer. So Solomon wanted to make it clear. He didn't say remember your God, because you can have a different God. Your God can be sports. Your God can be entertainment. A God is anything that takes the place of the real God. A mini God is anything that takes the place of a real God. You devote all your time, your energy, you make time for that thing or person. That's why when I travel, I try to travel Monday, return on a Saturday. Why? I'm coming back to the house of God. I spent all this money to go so far, but I'm coming back because I have to be in the house of God on Sunday morning. When I went to Panama in February, I came back because Sunday is church. When I went to St. Lucia in April, I came back Saturday because Sunday is church. I'm going to Jamaica next week, but I'm coming back on a Saturday. Then we're heading down to Miami, the whole family. When I come back this Saturday, we leave on Monday the 17th, head down to Miami because it's my birthday. So we're taking these kids and my sister going down. We're going to show them where we once lived in Miami, showing them my old school, my old jobs, my old places where I lived, where I worked. I'm going to show them my old city. But we're coming back for church again. Are you understanding me? Amen. Now, so he says here, remember now your creator. Didn't say God, Tamika. Because you can have so many things you consider as God that takes the place. You may not say he's not my God, but it takes the place of God. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth. People don't have time for God. They're too busy. Some people don't believe in Jehovah God, the Creator. What's the Creator? He's an inventor, a producer. So God is saying, if your God can't invent, can't create, can't make, can't produce, he's not a God. They go kneeling down to Buddha. Buddha can't create. I'm not getting worried about these people who are trying to clown human beings. They can't clown any human being. I don't care how brilliant they are, they cannot clown a human being. It's different. Why? What makes a human being is spirit, soul, and body. You can make a body, you can't create a soul and a spirit that comes from God. Amen. That's why they call it now the age of is that AI? AI? Oh, yeah. What is the correct term? Artificial intelligence. AI. The age of AI. I'm not getting worried because they cannot do what man can do. I don't care what they try. At some point, he will be frozen. Lost, don't know what next to do. I'm not worried. They're trying to find cheap labor. He says, remember, be mindful, think on, be cautious of your producer, creator, maker, inventor. He is the author and finisher of our faith. Remember, you're a creator, not a God. Most people around the world, their God is something or someone else besides God. They make time for everything else. During the pandemic, during a tornado, hurricane, storm, a flood, I don't feel sorry for anybody, especially unbelievers. Oh, you're mean, you're hard. No, I don't. I'll tell you why. Because I heard their biased comments about my God. I heard their cynical conversations about my God. I heard their disrespect conversations about my God. Why now your back is against the wall? Why now when your back is against the wall, you want me to talk to my God you disrespect? Why now you have a flood? Why now a tornado? Why now the pandemic? Why now a hurricane? Why now you want me to pray? No, do you know when I pray what it means? When I pray, it means I'm talking to the one you disrespect, you are cynical about. Why should I pray? For you. When you disrespect my God, my creator, I shouldn't. You don't respect him. My praying is connected to the one you disrespect. Am I making any sense at all? Yeah. My praying is connected to the one you are so in doubt about, the one you don't believe in. So why should I pray? Because you are trying to find comfort. And the only one who can give it is my creator. He says, remember, be conscious, think on, be mindful, recognize now your I like how Solomon did this. He didn't say, remember God, because you would get excited and begin to say, Buddha, Hail Selassie, Confucius, Mohammed, Farrakhan, Brave Stadium, Miami Dolphins. He didn't say that. So remember your creator. Because what you are worshiping, none of them can bring life and give life. Only God. Solomon made it plain. Remember now he says, he's the one that created you. That means you're powerless. That's right. He's all powerful. He's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Creator. He's everywhere at the same time. He knows everything. He knows right now what Devin is thinking, Shakira is thinking, Donovan is thinking. He's saying, I'm ready to go. She said, I'm hungry right now. Robert is saying, man, you're bored. God knows what everybody at the same time. That's a powerful God. And Solomon is saying, you ought to be conscious of a God like that. Remember they tried to worship Dagon and they set him up in the temple. The next morning they came back, he fell over. They propped him back up again. The next morning an arm broke off. That's their God. Remember back in Egypt when God was trying to get his people out of Egypt and said to Pharaoh, let my people go. He said, who is the God that I should obey? Who we think he is? God said, let my people go, dude. God said, let my people go. You don't want trouble in your hands. He said, I'm not. And the Egyptians had many different gods. The flag god, the frog god, this god, that god. And God touched every one of their gods. The book that I wrote back there, Enough is Enough, is based on the frog god. They had frogs everywhere. In the bed, in the bowls, in the oven, they walked in the dry, frogs everywhere. It was their frog god. And their frog god couldn't deliver them from the frogs. Amen. The gods some people worship can't deliver, can't help, can't save, can't heal, can't do anything. But it's going to cost you for the gods you worship. Do you know how much it costs to go to these sports games? It costs money. But that's your God, not you here, but those who go. I'm not paying any amount of those money to go see a man throw a pigskin with air. I have better things so I can read some books at the house. What is no, if you have the money to do it, you can do it. People were making a big rah-rah about those 5 people who went down in the submersible. Rah, you spend $250,000 to go down to the Titanic that's been sitting there for 109 years. It's a tourist attraction. It's amazing what rich, dumb people will do and say. When you have money, it's amazing how dumb you become, how foolish you become, and the things you think are exciting is nothing but dumb things. So people making a big rah-rah, they spent $250,000, $250,000 to go see Titanic, who've been sitting there for 109 years, not bothering anybody. All you're going to see is rust, moss. But listen, $250,000 to those people who went is like $2 for you. When you have billions of dollars, $250,000 is like throwing $250,000 out the window and you don't miss it. You're trying to find $250 right now. Yes. Robert said, are you hearing me? So we are fussing about them spending $250,000 to go down to the Titanic, but for them, that's a drop in the bucket for them. One man went to Las Vegas seeing these people gambling, the poor men gambling, the rich men gambling, and he see this guy gambling and spending all his money, and the rich man said, the difference between me and him, the rich man said, the difference between me and the poor man who's gambling, he said, $25,000, I don't miss it. But he doesn't have money to gamble, but he's trying. I went to Las Vegas one time when I was in the military. It took us on a trip there from California. It's a sight to behold. Nice. Not even God goes to Las Vegas. That's how bad it is. Are you hearing me? I used to work in a casino in Miami, Florida. See, the guy gambled all his money away. Brand new car left in the parking lot. Gambled that away when he realized he's losing. When he lost his car, went outside, shot himself in the parking lot. Money was his god, gambling machines. Solomon said, remember now, your creator. If it can't create, invent, produce, make, it's not a god. Solomon made it distinctively clear. He didn't say, remember your God. Remember Haile Selassie. Remember Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, Farrakhan. Didn't say any of that. He said, remember your creator. The one who gives life, who can invent, who can make, who is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Remember him. In the days when now that you are young, now that the lights are bright, remember your creator in the days of your youth. Why? Why is he stressing that? Why is he emphasizing on that for you to remember God now that you are young? Before the difficult days come. Before? The difficult days come. That means you can't get around them. That means they're coming. I know you're young, you're strong, you're beautiful, you look in the mirror every morning, you got it going on. I know, listen to me. The wrinkles are going to show up one day. Just keep living. Beauty is going to... I went yesterday somewhere to eat, one of my favorite places. You have the best wings in Kennesaw. It's an Indian family, and we become good friends. We're just chatting away and talking away. And the guy asked me, how old are you? I said, if I tell you, you're going to be jealous. And I told him. He said, you don't look it. And we started showed me pictures of his grandmother, his father, his mother, his sister was there with him. Just talking. And I pulled out my phone because I told him my dad was 88, but looks like he's still 50 and 60. He didn't believe, so I said, I'll prove it to you. Pulled out a picture of my dad. He said, what is he eating? I'm going somewhere. I showed him some pictures of when I was in the army at 20. The sister said, you look so different now. I said, I was 20, girl. I said, I was 20. What's my point? Remember your creator in the day of your youth, meaning you are going to get old. He said before the difficult days come. What is the descriptive word of those days that are coming? Difficult. Difficult. One preacher said, he was going down the steps, he's moaning and groaning, and his wife said, why are you making all those moaning and groaning sounds? She said, I'm getting old and I want to be scriptural. The scripture said, you will moan and groan. He said, people tell him, you're looking good. He said, I know they're flattering me because they know I'm moving slow. I have to get help to get out my car. Showed him some pictures of me. I showed him a picture when I was 20. And then I said, let me go back to when a picture that I have when I'm 17. I mean, I was the cutest man in the world at 17. When I showed them when I was 17, Robert, they laughed. You know why they laughed? Because, David, it's a stark difference from 17 to now. I'm not telling you my age. I'm still not telling you. Don't think I'm telling you, giving you my secret. But it's a stark difference. Meaning we're going to get, and things change. Interest changes also. Your excitement for certain things will not be the same, I'm telling you. Enjoy God now. Amen. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before what's coming? Difficult days are coming. You cannot get around them. You cannot circumvent them. You cannot get away from them. They're coming. How do you deal with that phase of your life? The reality zone of life. It's reality. You're not going to be who you are right now forever. And the years draw near when you say, what are you going to say? I have no pleasure in them. Can I just close? How much more time I have, Devin? I'm out of time. I'm going to borrow 7 minutes. If you ever are driving and, Donovan, thank you, and you see, you recognize, you notice, it's observable, it's plain that the person you are watching is running, and you realize they're old. They're barely moving. But in his mind or her mind, they're running. And you know they're barely moving. What do? You stop and you watch with amazement. Because you're fascinated of that person who's old and still trying to run. Number two, those of you who like to go out to party, you go to the club. And in the club, David, there's an old person on the dance floor. Everybody stop. Yes? The old person Shanae on the dance floor at the club, the young step aside. And you are watching with amazement of that old person. Try. They're trying. They're trying to prove to you, I still got it. You ain't got it. Robert, they ain't got it. They've yet to come to reality. You're in a different zone of life. Relax yourself. Enjoy that zone the best way you could. Don't overwork your bones that are not able to do it. I close. Look, the older you get, you don't have the same excitement. You don't have the same pleasure concerning certain things the older you get. See, my mom, I loved my mom when my mom was here. Never had a problem with my mom saying, I'm bored at the house. As long as my mom has her Bible, and the television is working on Jimmy Swaggart and other preachers, my mom is happy. And she has a puzzle books, cross puzzle books. My mom, and what Jeopardy is on? And what else? And Family Feud is on. My mom is happy like a lark. My mom doesn't say, I got to go to the mall. Just get out of this house. My mom realized she's in a different zone of life. And she's enjoying that phase of her life.
Amen. Amen.
Never had a problem with my mom. She says, try to wear high heels and that. Now, my mom realized it's over. She's young and she can't even manage high heels. Imagine my mom at 69. You have to realize when the game is over. It's the reality zone of life. Solomon is trying to get you to understand the best time to serve God and give God all you've got. Now you have the energy, the strength, the excitement, the bravery, the lights are bright. He says, now give God all you've got. Because the day is coming you won't have the energy and the strength. That's why Paul says, serve God to the fullest when you're single. Because when you're married, your time is now divided. And are you hearing me? When you're married, oh man. My friend just got married on Friday. Good friend of mine. 25, 26. Jamaican friend of mine. Best drummer in the world. Drummed for me in Jamaica before. Sent him a text to congratulate him yesterday. Got married on Friday. And in the text, I said yesterday was the wedding ceremony and the celebration. I said both of you woke up this morning to a marriage that is a journey that is going to require work on both of you. And it's hard work. Yesterday was the fun, the excitement. Today, the marriage begins. The older you get, you don't have the same energy and excitement towards certain things. Oh man, when I was young, I was on fire for God. They used to call me the preacher in high school in the Virgin Islands and 10th grade in Miami. Why? Every time they see me, I had my Bible, 10th grader. Every time they see this generation now, they have the gadgets in their hand. They call me the preacher in every school I attended. Anybody hearing me? Let's close. While the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened. Solomon is trying to paint a picture here to say, listen, man, now that you have it going on, give God your full attention. While the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened. You ever had somebody tell you when you have gotten on the nerve, they said, I'll put your lights out? Solomon is trying to tell us in a very nice way, before God put your lights out. When somebody puts your lights out, they're saying, you got on my nerve, I'll give you a punch and I'll knock you out and make you unconscious. Put your lights out. Before God make us unconscious in the casket, put us to sleep. You're not dead, you are sleeping until the resurrection. He's saying, give God all you've got now before he puts your lights out. Because he will put your lights out. That's verse 2. And we end at verse 3 this morning, and then next week pick it up. It's going to get better. And the clouds do not return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble. Everybody say keepers.
Keepers.
And the strong men, what did he say? The strong? Didn't say man singular, he said men plural, more than one. The strong men bow down. When the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look through the windows grow dim. Let's break it down and we close. Hold this for me, Shakira. What is the first thing he said here? Verse 3. First thing he said there, he said here in verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house tremble. The keepers of the house. What house? What is Paul what is Paul did it in the New Testament? Now Solomon is doing it here in Ecclesiastes. He is using the physical human body. Okay? He's using the physical human body as a house. Are you tracking? Okay? Now, so he said the keepers of the house tremble. What are the keepers of the house? Your hands and arms. Parkinson's disease. You know that man who once said this, I'm closing. He said, I'm the greatest. He said, I can move like a butterfly and I can sing like I'm the greatest. The all-time talkative, braggadocious man in the ring, Muhammad Ali. You look at Muhammad Ali today. Look at Muhammad Ali today. The keepers are doing what? He said, the keepers of the house shall. Look at an old person drink something. Look. It's the reality zone of life. The keepers of the house. If I keep on living at 95, 94, 96, 97, if Odie is still going, Odie is saying, grab your Bibles. You'll be looking at Odie. And the Bible is going like this. Why? It's not that I'm nervous. The keepers of my house, they're not the same anymore. They're shaking. Why? They have entered the reality zone of life called old age. That's why when your house, after so many years, living in this house, the house is falling apart. What do? You do something called renovation. Because everything is squeaking in the house after time. You need to get some new things that are not squeaking. And you do renovation on the house to make it look new. He said the keepers, you young folks like your gadgets. When you get to a certain age, you get your gadgets like that. I see old people on the gadget. I was going to St. Lucia, and I sat right next to two elderly, husband and wife, sweet Caucasian couple. And we had this beautiful conversation, and she was reading the Daily Bread. And what she was reading, I saw when she shared it with her husband and I eavesdropped on the conversation. There was 1, 2, 3 of us. They're close. And she was telling her husband about it, what she just read about heaven. And I just got in the conversation. We started talking about heaven. And that lady, old couple, just traveling, just going on vacation. Why? They're trying to get rid of their money. They realize they are in the reality zone of life. Death is close, and they're trying to get rid of their money. So they're traveling. We started talking about heaven. That lady said to me, I can't wait. I'm excited to go there. I heard we'll be able to fly. She's excited. She had to use the bathroom. I was sitting at the center aisle. And she had to use the restroom, so I had to get up and she had to come out. And because of age, and the body's not the same anymore, she's now in the reality phase of life. She was trying to get up, but her body was not strong. You know, if Robert is to get up, Robert just pops up. Tamika pops up. Shakira gets up. But a 80-something-year-old person was like trying to gather the strength and trying to get some support to get up. And she was attempting to hold on to the seat, and I helped her up. And when I helped her up and she went to the bathroom, and when she came back, I went to the bathroom and I just cried. Why did I cry? I remembered my mom's body who was failing too. Just a remembrance of my mom, a flashback, and I went to the bathroom, I just wept. Cried, because I remember my mom's body who was failing also, not as strong as when she was 20 and 25 and 30. Then when I was coming back, heading back to Atlanta, we met at the airport again, and they were seated. They remembered my name. They said, Joseph, and we're a sweet couple. And we wish each other safe flight, sweet couple. But their body was aging. They were moving slow. But they were ready. The lady said, I'm ready. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to heaven. She was not running from it. She was not avoiding it. She realized I'm in the reality zone of life. It's the twilight of my life. Let's close. In the days when the keepers of the house tremble, referring to your arms and your hands, and the strong man bowed down. What's a strong man? Notice it didn't say strong man, M-A-N, singular. It said strong men, plural, more than one, two. What are the strong men? The strongest part of your body, your legs and your thighs. They bow down. Notice an older person. Notice now they don't upright anymore. Check it out. They're not upright anymore like Robert and David and Donovan and Devin and Odie. There's a bow. There's a bow. The keepers of the house shall. What did he say? Shall bow. The reality zone of life. Nobody believes in God. Ecclesiastes will bring a wake-up call. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. The keepers of the house shall bow. When the grinders cease, because they are, what are the grinders? The grinders. Look at what Solomon said. When the grinders cease. David, why? Because they are few. Let's begin to figure this out. What are the grinders? Your teeth. They stop because they are few. So what do you have to do if you want to keep on eating? You get. I close. My mom is not here, so I can say this. My mom, the whole family grew up very poor. And I remember I was reflecting on that yesterday. When I was growing up in Nevis. So poor. Americans, you got it good, man. You guys got it good. My mom and her sisters didn't even have a toothbrush. They were poor. Dirt poor. They would use something called long grass to brush their teeth. They didn't have toothbrush. They didn't have toothpaste. They would get a cloth and they would put charcoal in that cloth and crush it and use that cloth with the charcoal crush to brush their teeth. They didn't have toothpaste. Seeing a dentist. They see a dentist every 6 months. My mom saw a dentist. When she saw a dentist, it was to extract, remove, pull out the rotten teeth because not proper maintenance. My mom gave you guys a bright smile with a gold in the front teeth. That was not hers. My mom lost every one of her 32 teeth very young. Is anybody listening to me? I'm 51, I still have all of mine. They're not pretty, but I have all mine. Well, I'll be 51 this month, 22nd. At 51, my mom already lost all. In the late 30s, lost it all. Not her fault. It's just poor. Go to a third world country. Look at when they smile. They're missing front teeth. The teeth are all messed up. They don't have the money to fix it. So my mom had all dentures. Every one of her real teeth gone. She had dentures. And if she wanted to continue eating, she had to have dentures. Some people are fortunate to have theirs until they die. They might be a little crooked, a little rusty. Let me say this to you. Take care of your teeth. Floss every morning, or at least 3-4 times a week. Brush it morning and night. I was always teeth because that's why my mom lost hers early. So I was always a fanatic about mine. They're not pretty, but I have them. I can still smile. I may have some gaps in mine. My sister said to me the other day, you need to get braces. I said, girl, not over my dead body. He just had how many years? 2 years? It's a lot of work. I just don't like braces. Braces are not for OD. I'm gonna die with my gaps. That's for me, Tamika. I just don't like it. It's a lot of work. Can't eat properly, your food sticking in. Nah, that's not for me. Not for me. So I make sure I do what I can to maintain mine. But Solomon is the teeth sometimes just get old and fall out. And lastly, and those that look through the windows. Didn't say window. What did he say? Windows. In meaning plural. Grow dim. And we close there today. Those that look through grow dim. How many of you here wear glasses? Me, Tamika, Donovan, David. Sometimes people wear, like he's young, he's wearing glasses at a young age because of something maybe with his eyes. Some people have been wearing glasses since they were 2, 3, 4 years old because their eyes, not everybody would going to have a perfect eyesight when they're born. They're going to have some defects, imperfection. But when I was in the military, I was a shooter for the tanks. I was missing the targets. I was not hitting the targets, and my sergeant was getting frustrated. Joseph, can you see? You need to go get your eyes checked. And he demanded I had to go get my eyes checked. So I went to get I just couldn't shoot. I could see the target. I was just missing the target, man. I needed more training. Went to the eye doctor. The doctor said to me, I was 21. Doctor said to me, you won't need glasses until you're 40 years old. Your eyes are good, man. You guys are good. Your eyes are good. I remember, man, I used to, read fine print and without glasses. I remember one Sunday I forgot my regular Bible, and I have this small Bible that has fine print, and I came to church maybe at this hotel right here, or the other hotel, and I had this fine print that I used to read without glasses, and I realized, golly, I can't see. David, I realized something is wrong. One night I was home, Robert, reading, and I'm reading without glasses. And I realized I have to get closer to the light. I said, man, I get closer to the nightstand. I said, nah. And I realized something is wrong. And I realized, OD, you're not 21 anymore. The man said, you're going to wear glasses at 40. You're way past 40. The reality zone of life. It's time. Talked to my sister. My sister said, yeah, go check your eyes. Made an appointment. Went to the lady said, you need your eyes are fine, but you need reading glasses. Meaning you're not 21 anymore. You need help. Your eyes need help. Look what he says. He says this, and I close. He says, and those that look through the windows, your eyes, grow dim. Dim means it's not as bright as it once used to. You used to read fine print. I remember now, you pick up something, the doctor give a prescription, or you try to read on the vitamin bottle. I mean, the fine print. I used to read it boldly. Realize I have to go get my glasses to read it now. Why? The eyes are growing dim because I'm now entering the reality zone of life. With age, things change. You can't get around it. You can't get around it. You can't get around it. I imagine when David and Michael were young, had the afro. Maybe they had Jerry curls. Maybe they had, I don't know, they had some Duke, or they had something. Because back then, everybody had something with a hair. See, this generation has a different hair fad. Back then, we had a different hair fad. Every generation have a hair fad. This hair fad is different. Dreads, we'll go dye. Just let it go crazy. My nephew wanted to have his crazy. The quandary. I said, hey, not in this house. 19 approaching 20. I raised this guy since he was 3, lived with me all his life. He knows the standards. One Sunday came to church, went to the bathroom to comb his hair because his hair was going crazy. I said, go fix your hair. He went to the bathroom, fixed his hair. I went to the bathroom as usual to put on my mic. I saw the bathroom covered with hair. I said, come here, man. At least, wash it down, clean it. Why do you just... I said, no, another reason for you to cut it. I said, tomorrow you go cut your hair. He's 90. He's not 3 years old anymore, not 5 anymore. He's 19, turning 20. He's now a man. He's taller than uncle now. I used to hold his hand to cross the street anymore. Monday came, I came home, I said, go cut your hair. When I come home on Monday, your hair must be cut. I came home, the guy has something on his head. Tie his head up. I said, did you cut it? No. So you're going to cut your hair? It's Monday. The guy asked me, why do I need to cut my hair? Are you hearing me? So we had a challenge. Are you? Every generation, you look at this generation, the hairstyle is different now. Back then we had a hair fad, but it was a neat hair fad. The hair fad was an afro, but it had to be not a hair in a place. Now they go to work and the hair is like a bushman. I go to some work environment and I just stand and I look at those who are fixing my food. I say, God, sanctify that food. Because when I look at the hair and how messed up, how raggedy, how me, I say, I don't know what's living in that hair. Falling in my food. So Lord, sanctify it. Sanctify that food. But he said, what looks out the windows, your eyes, go dim. You're now at a reality zone. We cannot get away from it. When David and Michael were young and they had their hair going. I could imagine they had all kind of style. They had the part. I mean, they had it slicked back. Now they have nothing to slick back. Why? Reality zone of life for them concerning the hair has set in. Is anybody listening?
Yes.
Don't try to fight it. Don't run from it. Embrace it, deal with it. It's the reality zone. This is life. This is part of the journey. We can diet for a while, but after a while, you get tired of it. And you're just, man, I just gotta. My mom reached to a point, my mom just let her hair gray. And she was comfortable with her gray. My brother Franklin, my nephew's dad, he's younger than I am, that lives in the Virgin Islands. He's growing his beard. And he's gray. His beard is gray. And he's proud of his gray. Another young person who's gray, they'll dye it or cut it. But he keeps telling us, my sister will keep telling him, dye it or cut it. He said, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
He's proud. He realized, I am at the reality zone of life. And he's proud of his gray. Ecclesiastes 12 is exciting. And it should give all of us comfort concerning when we get old. It's part of life. Part of the journey. I'm not saying for you to let yourself go and look raggedy. It's just embracing the fact that we're going to get there. And we're going to do it gracefully. And we're going to enjoy it.